This is the second in our series on Carp from the Start videos, where we are aiming to instruct the budding angler. This is an ideal carp water. It's less than an acre in size. We know it contains more than 60 carp, ranging from 3/4 pound up to nearly 20 pounds. There's many other species in the lake, so it's a hungry water, a lot of competition for food, and it makes a good carp water, good water for beginners. It's very coloured, mainly because of the fish rooting around on the bottom. And it's very shallow, 2, 3, 4 foot at the maximum. The only disadvantage really is that it's situated close to a main road, but apart from that it's a perfect little water. I've got 2 rods set up here, one with a ledger rig which I'll just run through. Very simple rig, nothing too technical. A running lead, just an Oldschool bomb, about 1.25 ounces, stopped by a bead and a swivel, inline swivel. Better than any of your ledger stops and things like that, which could weaken the line or slip. So you've got a swivel, and then hook link, approximately 18 inches, a size 8 hair rig hook, partridge hair rig hook. The main thing about hooks for carp fishing, they've got to be strong and reliable. Boil is attached to the bottom of the hook, again nothing technical, about 1/2 inch hair rig. Nice standard simple rig to start with. So we'll just pop this one out 2 or 3 rod lengths out into the lake to start with. No need to fish the opposite bank. We'll just put that one out there. And that's on the boilie. It's on a bird spice boilie. Just fit this up on the indicator. Vitec Viper bite alarm. Now what I'm going to do is fish the other rod on float tackle. Just give that a little bit more line. This is a waggler setup. Again, nothing too technical. It's about a 3 treble A waggler. A shot each side of the float. The one near the hook is about 5-6 inches, which we might adjust while we're fishing. Again, same hook, strong hook. It's a partridge hair rig hook. I'm going to fish this one on sweet corn, so we'll just put a couple of bits on straight on the hook. I'm going to fish boilie against sweet corn, and also a float set up against ledger. That way we can find out pretty quickly which method's going to be the best, and then we can always change over once we know what's working. So we'll just cast that one out just to the left out here, not too far out. Perfect conditions, fairly mild and light wind. If I was fishing 2 on float, I would fish with the bail arm shut and the anti-reverse on, but I'm going to actually put the bait runner on because I might end up playing a fish on the ledger rod and I might not be looking at that, and a carp might take the float tackle. So they're both on bait runner, just for safety's sake. We'll just wait now and see what happens. Right, I think we'll just put a little bit of bait in around the hook baits. Now that the float's settled. Oh, we had a take then, just as I was going to put some bait out. It doesn't feel a very big fish. I think it's probably a tench the way it's kicking. Jolly good little fighters, these tench. Just a little bit more line out. Right. It's about 3 pounds in weight. Male tench. The hook's right down. Just have to have a look. See if we can get that out without harming the fish. Just move the bait. Obviously a pretty hungry tench the way it's taken the hook down. There we are. Try not to cause it any harm. Probably about 3 pounds. Just slip him back. Always pays to check your tackle after you caught a fish. Make sure everything's okay. You never know what's happened. You might have trod on the line or something accidentally. Just check it. And we'll put that back out again in the same spot. Of course, the problem with fishing with particle baits like sweet corn is that you can catch all species of fish, roach, tench, bream. But if you put quite a lot out, eventually you can attract the carp into the area. As expected, the fish were showing plenty of interest to the float fished sweet corn, but these were mostly roach and tench. For at least an hour there had been no activity on the ledger. Suddenly... Yep, we got one. A lively little carp was soon brought over the net. Following the capture of a fish, it is best to rebait, as some of the free offerings would have been cleared. Yep, I got one. Very good take, nice fast run. Fish almost certainly hooked itself. Whoops, it's taking a bit of line. There's no one else fishing the lake at the moment, so I don't need to put a lot of pressure on it to keep it within my area. Certainly feels quite a good fish. Just keep a steady pressure on it. Always try and keep the pressure even. Don't vary the pressure. When you're pumping the fish, always keep a bend in the rod. It's coming a bit closer now, but it's nowhere near finished. Certainly feels a good fish. If you've got a reel with a good clutch like these Shimano bait runners, then you can play the fish off the clutch quite nicely. See, it's taking quite a lot of line now. If your reel's not got a good clutch, then obviously you need to backwind when the fish wants line. Well, we're not gaining much on it at the moment. Oh, it's really turning on the line and flicking a lot. Not a very nice feeling when the line goes across the body of the fish and then it flicks off. No need to give it a lot of stick. The more pressure you put on the fish, the more chance of pulling the hook out. No need to rush it. It's going to take a few minutes. It's on the surface quite a lot at the moment. Just concentrate on keeping steady pressure on the fish. Lovely. This is the magic of carp fishing. There's not many fish that fight like this. Look at that, beautiful. Oh yes, it's just stuck its tail out. It's quite a good fish. Just slowly gaining a bit of line. It's not doing much at the moment, just holding its own. Oh, a bit more line gain now. Just gain a bit more. As the fish comes closer, you've got to be a bit more careful. Don't have the clutch too tight, because these sudden lunges can tear the hook out. Just keep it coming steady. Just need a lot of patience at the netting stage. Oh, it's a common by the looks of it. If we can get its head up in a minute. We'll get it over the net. Making my arm ache, so it must be a good fish. Still not ready for netting yet. Certainly a double figure fish, over 10 pounds. It's certainly fighting well. Right, here she comes. Get the net under it nicely, that's it, beautiful. Ah, lovely. That is a lovely fish. Oh. One boilie. It's actually hooked on the outside of the mouth, so we were fairly lucky to have caught that one. Just get this hook and lead out the way. If poor hook holds or misruns are experienced, it is wise to make the hook length slightly longer so that the hook is further inside the fish's mouth before a run occurs. That's certainly a nice fish. We'll weigh him up. Must remember that everything that touches the fish should be wet, and then it takes less of the slime off the fish. Slip it into there. We'll have to take the weight of the weigh sling off afterwards. So that's zeroed. See what she weighs. It's over 13 pounds. Lovely common. Just check that exactly. It's about 13.4, 13.6 including the sling, so it'll be 12 pounds something. We'll check that afterwards. As I say, it's a very long one. Most of the carp in this water tend to be deeper bodied and shorter. Right, we'll just slip her back. Always remember, keep the fish low in case it slips out your hands. Your bank's a bit awkward here. There we go. Back to fight another day. At midday things went quiet, but patience is needed when carp fishing. Be prepared to sit and wait, sometimes for long periods. Some time later the tench began to feed again. With the tench feeding continuously, it was necessary to top up the swim. We were hoping to catch a carp on floating bait today, but the conditions aren't right. It's overcast and quite dark and cool. But we'll just run through the methods that we could have used. Now, there's two floating baits you can try. The multiple type floater, which is little chum mixer type floaters, or floating crust. There's two ways of fishing floating crust. First is free lined. It's just a simple matter of cutting a piece of crust from the loaf and hooking it like so, and that will just float on the surface with the hook upwards. The other way to fish it is by anchored method, and I've got a rod set up here. It incorporates using a lead. There's a lead on a link, about a 4 or 5 inch link coming up to that's a ring, but you can use a swivel. There's a bead and a hook. Partridge Z2 hook. Everything's quite simple, ordinary knots. I use a type of blood knot. It's twice through the eye and 5 times up the line for all my fishing. So you've got what you call an anchored crust method here. So I'll just put the crust on. We'll cut a nice square bit from the loaf. Squeeze it so we can get the hook into it. Turn it and back into the crust again. Now you'll notice that it's hooked differently from the other one. That's the floating free lined method with the hook at the top. The method I'm now going to use is the hook coming in from underneath. It's going to float on the surface like that. Okay, so I'll just cast that one out. The beauty of this method is you can keep the crust near the bottom, or you can have it right on the surface. And just let it sink to the bottom, sink the line, and then you can just let the crust pop up by giving it open bail on, and slowly the crust will come up. The other type of floater, most commonly used in carp fishing, is a dog biscuit type multiple floater. This is pedigree chum mixer, dyed and flavoured, but you can use it straight from the packet. I've got 2 pieces on a small hook here, but you can use one if the fish are shy and if they're a bit wary of 2. Now, to fish this type of floater, you need what we call a controller. All it is a weighted float, just to enable you to cast out some distance. It's also very good, it tells you when you've got a proper bite, because the fish do tend to mouth these floaters and spit them out again. So the controller helps you reach the distance, and if you watch it when you get a take from a fish, then you'll know you've got a proper bite. The controller is sliding on the line, and again it's just stopped with a bead and a swivel. In this instance I'm using a Christon hook link, which is that lovely soft supple hook link material, which is lovely for floater fishing. So I'll just cast that one out. Back at the lake, the tense action on the float rod was replaced by more action on the ledyard boilie. After hooking a fish, it is better to reel in the other line if possible, or sink it, to minimise the chance of a tangle which could cause the loss of a fish. Not doing much at the moment. Ah, here she goes. She's taking a little bit of line. Just pull that net in a little bit. Don't think it's a very big one. It's coming right under the bank. That's a small mirror. Oh, that's it, we got it. That's a little plump mirror. Look at that. Just hooked in the corner of the mouth. Let's get that hook out of the way. They come in all shapes and sizes, like this one, a very fat belly. Sometimes it's food and sometimes it's spawn. No matter what shape and size they are, they're all very nice. Lovely little mirror. Probably about £7. We'll just slip her back. Certainly fish you'd recognise again if you caught it with that dorsal like that. Just put it back gently to fight another day. A new boilie was attached. In this case I simply threaded a length of 1.5 pound nylon through the boilie using a needle and attached it about 1.5 inches from the bend of the hook. Right, just put the indicator on, making sure the line's not around the buzzer so we don't disturb other anglers. Just put the sliding indicator on down to the bottom. Then put the line back on the buzzer. Let's check the Bitec Viper, it's fine. Feels quite a nice fish. It's funny, we've been sitting here for quite a while with no action, thinking fish aren't feeding, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, a fast run like that. Oh, it's on the surface quite a lot at the moment. Being quite a shallow lake, you can see the fish, exactly what it's doing all the time. It's not as, probably not a double, but it's Quite a nice fish. It's coming in close again. I'll just get that net out of the way a little bit. When they're on top like that, it's best to take it easy, not pull too hard. It's certainly not giving up. It's a mirror this time. No, still not ready. It's very tempting at this stage to try and pull it over the net and get the fight over and done with quickly, but that's when fish are often lost. Just keep it coming steadily. And that's it, straight in the net. Lovely. Oh, it's not a bad one at all. Just get the unhooking mat ready. Oh yes, it's definitely a double. Lovely. Let's get the hook out. It's certainly well hooked. These partridge hooks certainly go well in. You can see the advantages of an unhooking mat. If the fish is flapping about, it doesn't get damaged too much. Nice mirror. We'll just weigh him up. Just wet the weigh sling. I'll pop him in there. Of course you don't have to weigh every fish, but when they get to this size they're certainly worth weighing. Right, the scales are on 0 at the moment, so we've got to take a pound off for the weigh bag. Still fighting fit. That's 13. That's 13.6 with the weigh bag. So it's about 12.6, something like that. Lovely. Very nice too. Let's have a look at the fish. If you've got a lively fish, it's best to put your thumb or finger in the fish's mouth. It gives you a little bit more grip. 2 doubles in a day is as much as anyone could hope for. Sometimes carp fishing is so slow that several days' wait is possible, even for the experienced angler. Nice mirror. The bank's a bit awkward here. If you've got a really bad bank, it's best to actually let the fish go in the weigh sling. Carry it back to the water in the weigh sling. Right. Nice mirror, good bit of sport, good fun. Let's put her back gently. That was on the ledger rig again. If we'd been getting a few short pulls and dropped runs, then we would have had to perhaps change this rig to a slightly more technical one. But it's a very simple rig and it's working fine, so we'll carry on with this. We've had 2 doubles now on this setup, 2 good fish. We've had more action on the float, but they've been smaller fish, and we've had several tench. But that's not because it's float fishing, it's because we were using particle baits. So you can see the advantages and disadvantages of both. You'll get more action and more fish on the float tackle using a bait like corn. On ledgered boilie you'll get less action but generally bigger fish. So you have to pick which method is best for the time. And of course when it comes to say night fishing or very long sessions, then you're better off ledgering with both rods anyway. You can't watch a float all night long. So we'll just put another bait on here and cast out again. Later that day I visited a nearby lake where Bob Baldock and I had enjoyed a great day's sport in part 1 of this series. What a day it was. Fishing was a sheer delight. It seemed that no sooner was the bait in the water than a carp was on. Fish after fish are rare, and such days are always remembered. Back to the present, and the reason for my visit was to see if Rob Mayling, one of today's top carp anglers, was enjoying similar sport. Still in there a bit. Well, I've just joined Rob in his swim and straight away he's hooked a fish. He's lost it. Oh, what a shame. It was in the trees and then it was out of the trees.
What a bar.
You lost your rig and everything, haven't you?
Yep.
Perhaps while we're here...
It's cut me on them branches out there.
Yeah, it's a shame. Perhaps while we're here, can we have a look at the rig you're using? Because I hear you're getting a lot of action.
Yeah, I've had about 10 takes today.
Yeah.
Most of the fish just under doubles. Maybe just into double figures.
Nice. Perhaps you can show us what you've been using, because we've been using fairly basic rigs.
Yeah, well, this is the rig I'm using. It's the swimmer rig. It's on a short 25-pound braided hook link with a critically balanced pop-up. It's a protein pop-up I'm using here. Fished about 1.5 inches off the bottom.
Yeah. Right. It's certainly effective.
Yeah, for this
and
type
what
of
size
fishing,
lead is it? 3-4 ounce?
4 ounce, semi-fixed lead.
You can break away.
Just pull off of there like that, so there's no danger of leaving a lead attached to the fish.
Great. Right, well I see you've got one in the sack. I wondered if I could take a couple of pictures of it.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Is that alright?
Yeah.
Sacks are often used by carp anglers to retain a fish for photography. Great care should always be taken. Only use one that has a good water exchange, otherwise fish could be starved of oxygen. Check the fish regularly. Do not position in warm, shallow water. Only retain the fish for a minimum length of time and put no more than one fish in each sack. Sacks with the best water exchange are those which have mesh corners or a mesh centre section. When photographing a carp, always hold the fish low and close to the ground. A thumb or finger positioned in the carp's mouth gives more grip should the fish struggle at the wrong moment. Unless the ground is soft with grass, always use an unhooking mat and do not keep the carp out of the water for very long, especially in hot sunny conditions. Now let's recap. Firstly, there was float fish sweet corn using the waggler shotted with 3 treble A's, one each side of the float and the other a few inches from the hook. A running ledger stopped with a bead and swivel. A boilie hair rigged 1/2 inch from a small strong hook to an 18-inch hook link. 3-lined floating crust, an old and well-tried method that still works today. For distance, a bomb on a nylon link is used for the anchored crust method, remembering to put the hook through the opposite way to 3-lined crust. For small lightweight floaters, a controller is used to enable casting. 1 or 2 dog biscuits can be used on the hook, and with this method plenty of free offerings should get the fish going. And as for Rob's bait,
the bait I'm using, well, it's a new flavour actually that I'm trying out, and the fish seem to like it anyway. I think I might call it wife repellent.
such a day. Let's hope there are many more like it, and wishing you the best of luck in Carp from the start.